All right, we got a recording. Good. So, if anyone, any of these five people missed class altogether, they may need the recording just to figure out what I miss. Well, you missed everything. You weren't here. Good stuff. So, okay, let's take a look at this week. This is going to be a pretty quick lesson because there's no lesson. Well, what are you talking about, Mr. Brock? Let's get down here. Algebra 3. Algebra 3. Let's open this up. Go to our grade screen, as usual, to start the week. We see should have grades for all six of these things. You should have six grades in there by now. September 7th was this past weekend, so you should have had 105 and 106 done. And this week, oh, look, the 14th, we have a practice test and our test. So we're done with Module 1 this week. We're testing. That's why we don't have a lesson this week. But I do want to show you the practice test. And if you look in grading categories, the practice test is just a practice grade. It doesn't count toward your semester grade. But it's very important for you to do the practice test so you know if you're ready for the test. Am I ready for the test? I'm going to do well. Of course, if you did well up here, that should give you a pretty good idea. Hey, I think I'm going to be okay on this test. But just to make sure, let's go look. If we get down here, practice test instructions. The instructions are just going to have, make sure you reviewed all the assignments. And it does have like the lesson summaries. If you click on that, that's the lesson summaries that we got for each of those lessons. So if you didn't print those or you didn't get all the notes, here's the whole unit right here, comparing functions. Here's the lesson summary, which you can print if you have a printer and want to use this as your notes. But remember, you can use all your notes on the test this week. Absolutely. Let's go to the next thing here, to the practice test. So here's the practice test. It looks just like any of the assignments. Hit start, multiple choice. Given this equation, which order of operations? This goes all the way back to our first week when we looked at order of operations. Got to add 1 then divide by 6, or add 11 divided by -1. These two students both solved this equation right here. Which one made an error? So there's 4 choices there. Given this equation, which order operation completely solves for x? So what are all the steps needed? The number of fish in a tank increases when the number of algae bloom decreases. Maybe they're eating it. Oh, we'll write the correct equation for this scenario and solve for the number of fish when there's 4 algae blooms. So it gives you a little table with 10 algae blooms. You have 10 fish. With 25 algae blooms, you have 4 fish. Which one of these will meet that situation there? Got an equation and a solution. Here's another one. And let's see. Here's Jack earns $50 for washing cars. He makes $4.25 in tips every hour. Write the function of his earnings. And how much would he make after 6 hours? There you go. Here's f of x, g of x. All right, Peyton. F of x, g of x, solve for f of g of x when x equals -3. F and g of x when x equals 9. Here's the function for the cost of materials to make a muffin, where x is the number of muffins. The selling price of those muffins is g of x equals 3x plus 4. Find the selling price of 20 muffins. G of f of x. So that means you got to figure in the cost into the selling to figure out 20 muffins. Given the function, which below is correct? So this is, remember, f of -1x means this is the inverse. So which one of these equations is the inverse of this one? This one says solve for the inverse function when x equals 3. Which one of these is the inverse of this one? Which one of these is the inverse of this one? On the graph of this equation, what is the value of the y-intercept? Well, that's a good question. Alton has been recording the number of apples in his apple tree every week. Week 2, week 3, week 4. Here's the function representing his apple tree. So what does the 1 represent in this function? Oh, all right. A function is created to represent the miles per gallon your car gets. What restrictions would be made to the domain? Miles per gallon your car gets. Could it have negative miles per hour? Function is, you could have negative hours, I guess. The domain. Function is created to represent the amount of money you save or spend. Some of you guys are spenders. What restrictions would be made to the range? The range. To which graph does the point 8, 2 belong? Oh, that's a nice question. So y is less than or equal to negative x plus 4. And you're like, what does that graph look like? Well, let's go over here and take a look at that. Because that's not an equals, that's a less than or equals. I'm not sure we covered that lesson. We may have skipped that one, but I want to look at it. It's on the practice test. If we didn't cover it, it won't be on the test, but less than or equal to negative x plus 4. So I put less than or equal to negative x plus 4. See, that means anything in the shaded area. Anything in the shaded area would be part of negative less than or equal to negative x plus 4. Because this red line up here is the graph of negative x plus 4. So less than would include anything below that graph. So if you want to know, is 8 negative 2 belong in here, let's graph 8 negative 2 and see where it is. 8 comma negative 2. Oh, look there, it's right there. It's not part of this graph. It's outside the shaded area. So you can check all of these and see which of them. What is the equation of a horizontal line passing through the point? Horizontal. Horizontal. That means it has a slope of 0. Don't let them fool you there. Slope of 0 passing through this point. And you can graph those and see which one goes to that point. Given this point and the slope of 5, find y when x equals 21. So you can use the point slope equation and then put 21 in for x and solve for y. What's the standard form equation of this line? Standard form. Standard form. See, like this is y equals, this is slope intercept form. This is not standard. This is point slope form. These are both standard form, but they're two different equations. You have to figure out which one is correct. Are those two different equations? Interesting. What is the slope intercept form of the equation that passes through these 2 points? You can always just graph it and see which one passes those 2 points, or you can solve that algebraically. What is the equation in point slope form of the line that passes through these 2 points? And these are all in point slope form. Here's 2 different functions, f of x, which is an equation, and g of x, which is a graph. What can you determine about their slopes? Like f of x has a larger slope or g of x has a larger slope, or you can't determine the slopes. Okay, that's the wrong answer. You can determine their slopes. Or they both have the exact same slope. Here's 2 functions. What do you know about their y-intercepts? One's an equation, one's a table. Here's a word problem and a table. What can you determine about their slopes? Here's a graph and a table. What can you determine about their y-intercepts? Thomas has a train collection. He has given 1 train as a gift and adds 2 trains per year. Which one of these represents that situation? After 3 months of living in his new house, Tony's got 4 birds. 4 months later, he still has 4 birds. Which graph shows that? Probably not one of the ones that shows it increasing. And that's all of the the questions on there. Here's the nice thing. It doesn't, let me take this off for a second. It doesn't count as a grade. So if you bomb the practice test, like, I got a 23 on the practice test. Well, that's good and that's bad. I mean, the good thing is, who cares? It doesn't count towards your semester grade. You know, is that all the bad? No, there's good all the way around. There's no bad. Uh, and the other good thing is, well, the bad thing is you didn't know as much as you thought you knew. But the other good thing is that tells you what you need to review before you take the test. I'm going to go back and look at what I missed. Oh, I missed number 3. I thought I had that right. What did I do wrong? So then you can go back and look at number 3 and say, let me go back and look at the lesson, or I can go back and look at class video, or here, I'll show you this. Or I can go back to the activity page and I can scroll down and I can see that Mr. Brock also took the algebra practice test, module 1 practice test. And I can go here and click on this and it'll open up a new window for me with Mr. Brock taking this same test. And I can go to number 3. I don't have to watch the whole test if I don't want to. Oh, it's slow loading. It didn't even load the rest of the page yet. But I can skip down. Oh, there's Mr. Brock working number 2. Go a little farther. He'll be working number 3. But I can just skip to whichever one I need it. Up there, I'm working number 3. So I can go watch Mr. Brock work number 3 at some time back in the past. This was actually 4 years ago. Okay. I can go back and watch where Mr. Brock worked this problem and see exactly how to do number 3. But there it is, the whole practice test. It could be because Buzz has like a bank of questions. You may not have the exact same questions, but it should be the same type of question, right? You may have 2 equations that's a quadratic and a linear or something, or I don't know, but it should be the same type of questions if it's not exactly the same questions. But it's there. So you have the practice test this week. If you do great on the practice test, then all right, I'm ready to take the test. I'll just jump right in the test and take it. The test is a lot shorter. Let's do that. Let's take a look at the test because we saw the practice test and it was like 27 problems. And we're like, whoo, man, this is a long test. Let's take a look at the actual test so we know what we're in for. I forgot to tell you that too. If you want to take the practice test 5 times to make sure you really got it down, take it 5 times. It'll let you. All right, the part 1 of the test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 questions. 10 questions. Yeah, which graph represents the situation? Should be just like the practice test. Questions like that. Slope-intercept form passes through this point, has a slope of 4. Write the equation of a vertical line passing through this point. Point-slope form goes through these 2 points. The same type of questions was on the practice test. Now let's look at part 2. That's part 1. So you know what's going on in part 2. These part 2 is always ones that you have to type stuff in. And there's only 2 questions. The first question is Nevea. Like that name's been around about 20 years. And I thought, Nevea. They say, oh, yeah, it's the opposite of heaven. I said, yeah, I know some people who are the opposite of heaven. And this is a lot nicer name than I would call them. Nevea has created this function to represent the growth of her hair, where X represents the number of months since her last haircut. And she discovers that using the inverse function to solve for X equals 8, she can predict where her hair will have grown 8 inches. So it says, explain how to accomplish this using complete sentences. Well, let me break something to you here. In math, to me, a complete sentence could be Bob went to the store and bought some tomatoes. Or to me, a complete sentence could be Y equals 4X minus 3. In math, that's a complete sentence. So if you just want to do the math to find the inverse, solve it for X equals 8, and then say, here's how many months it'll take, that's fine. You don't have to actually write me a short essay. I don't need complete sentences in English. I can take complete sentences in math, which means show me your steps. Show me your work. If you just write f of x equals 2x plus 4 over 3, and then you say it'll take 5 months, you missed a whole lot of sentences in your essay, and you won't get many points. And remember, if I'm writing this, let's do f of x I'm going to write the equation that's right there. You have to put in parentheses 2x plus 4, so it's all on top, divided by 3. Now let me take this and use this insert equation. Insert equation. Look at the difference. This is just 2x plus 4 divided by 3. This is when I use the insert equation. So use the insert. Anytime you're writing math stuff, actually hit the insert equation button and make it look right. I mean, this looks wonderful. It's easy to see. This, I got to pay a little bit of attention to make sure I know what's going on. Oh, there's a divide symbol in there. I mean, I can put spaces, but still, this is very, very clear. So do yourself a favor, because I've seen students get confused a little bit when they start just typing the math without using the insert equation, because it can get a little confusing what you're doing, where this makes it a lot easier. And this question down here is use these 4 functions, compare and contrast these 4 functions using complete sentences. We have a word problem, we have a table, we have a graph, and we have an equation. F of x, g of x, h of x, j of x. When it says compare and contrast, focus on the slope and y-intercept first, and then anything additional, which means at the very, very least, you need to give me the 4 slopes and the 4 intercepts, the 4 y-intercepts, because it tells us right there. Make sure you get those. And then you can say, oh, the slope of f of x is this, and g of x is this, h of x is this, j of x is this. And look, f and g have the same slope, right? Because I just told you what they are. F and g have the same slope. And then I can do the y-intercepts. And I can go, okay, y-intercept, 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 y-intercept. Oh, look, they all 4 have the same y-intercept. Or they all 4 have different y-intercepts, or whatever. Compare and contrast means give me the numbers. Don't just, if your whole answer is f and g have the same slope. If that's true, you might get 1 point. These are worth like 10 points each. 10 points. You might get 1 point if that's your entire answer, if that's true. If f and g don't have the same slope, you won't get any points. So you should give me more information than I want, than less, if you want the 10 points, right? Make sure you give me all 4 slopes, all 4 y-intercepts, and then tell me, hey, look, these are the same. These are different than these, but these are the same as these, or whatever. Comparing and contrasting means you're making comparisons. You're telling me what's the same or telling me what's not the same. If they're all different, then I'm contrasting them. Say this compared to this are different. So, all right, just wanted to explain that well. I see people give away points when it's like they put stuff, but they didn't compare and contrast, or they compared and contrasted, but they didn't tell me what they were. Hey, these are the same slope. Well, what was the slope? They were the same. Yeah, they were the same as both have a slope of 7. I don't know. So give me all the information, and I'm happy to give you 10 points. I have a lot of people do really well at this, so I'm really just giving you extra tips for those of you who don't like to put everything down. Put everything down. Put everything down. If you don't put everything down, then I don't know if you actually figured it out and just guessed. These have the same slope, I hope. Yeah. Show me what you know. And again, use that insert equation button when you're actually doing an equation on Buzz. So it looks good. But anyway, practice test. It's all due Sunday night. So you don't have to do it this instant. You can work on the practice test now if you want to. You have time. You got the rest of the period. I'm not going to present anything new. This is test week. We've learned everything last 2 weeks. And most of that was just review. We didn't really learn much new. So we're just a test over a review so we can jump into our next unit next week. So if you got any questions, hang around. I'm happy to answer it. If you want to go ahead and get off the Buzz and get off the meet and work on the practice test now, you've got time before your next class and for advisory, I guess. But have a great week. It's a B-Day Friday, so I'll be here Thursday and Friday. If you got questions about the test, come to class. Say, hey, I don't understand what's asking on number 7. Have a great week, guys. I'm here if you need me. Email me, come to class, hang around, whatever you like.